And now it's time to look at the installation. And we start with the Carolift 6900. In front of me here I have a few pieces from a 6900, so don't be surprised if you're missing a few parts when I'm showing them. On the table from the beginning, if we take it piece by piece, I have a specific mounting bracket. The bracket itself is a specific bracket, and the easiest way to spot that is that the piece who's sitting on top of the framework is welded together. If it was bolted together, I can assure you that it is a universal bracket. The specific bracket can only be mounted one way, so be sure that you know if it is right or left side. But the universal bracket can easily be twisted or turned, mounted the other way. And not only twisted and turned the other way, you can also, if you imagine this piece was loose, twist this piece on top of the bracket so that the gearbox for the rotation motor, looking like this, turns this way inside the car instead of this way. That could be the difference between having a good solution or a not so good solution. So make sure that you know about all the tricks, how you put the different legs into that centerpiece that you bolt on the top piece on. And that is well described in the installation manual, so if you would like to know more, or if you forget what I'm saying, just make sure that you look thoroughly through the installation manual. The specific brackets, they are mostly to rather large cars, but if you check into the dealer web and look for specific brackets, Carolift 6000 to 6900, there are plenty of specific brackets. Once you have installed the framework, it is time to bolt on the gearbox. And to reach the bolts, you have to pry off this rubber grommet or rubber sock, whatever you call it. And it's a little bit stiff, so you have to use your fingertips and unbolt these screws. I have already untightened them so it would be faster for me to show it. Lift this up, and then by squeezing the rubber grommet or the rubber sleeve, you get it inside the box. But in my case, I could easily just lift it off, but just to show you that it's possible. Like that. When you have the lift or hoist sitting inside here, you have to twist it a little bit and lean it on the circuit board, which is mounted here. But I have the circuit board removed, so it will be shown more and more obvious how it's installed. If we take a look at the 6 bolts, you see 3 in front here. There are 2 different lengths. The center is a little bit longer than the outer bolts. And whatever you do, don't change these bolts, because in the package delivered with this lift, there are 6 bolts. And they are imperial threads or inch threads, whatever you call it. The problem is that inside this fastening bracket, there are rivet nuts. And these 6 rivet nuts can quite easy start to turn and twist. So if you, for instance, put a millimeter bolt into that, start to tighten it, because M8 is quite close to 5/16, and they fit the first 2 threads. But once you come those 2 threads down, it will squeeze, it will seize in that thread. So it will start twisting the nut, and when you have all this gearbox standing on top of it, There's no way that you can reach it. So that's quite horrible actually. So make sure, use the bolts in the package. Once they are installed, you have to take care of the movement, the power rotation. You have probably decided where it's located inside the car by looking at the framework, looking at the gearbox, maybe a little bit of the arm, lifting arm by itself. But here, you can adjust both the inner turning angle and the outer turning angle separately with two different plastic cam rings. And they are sitting right on the pole here. And I lift one up, and here is the other one. These two rings are separate ones, one for the inner position and one for the outer position. And they are controlling two micro switches that are sitting right on top of the gearbox. Very obvious and easy to see. So when a notch hits the switch, it's stopping. Once again, this is an American hoist from the beginning. It's manufactured in America. And they use a lot of imperial threads or inch threads. So to grab onto these grab screws, you really need to buy imperial Allen keys to be possible to tighten them. I have tried several millimeters and it's hard because you can't tighten them. It's just rotating. So buy yourself a decent Allen key set with imperial threads and you have no problem at all with this lift, crane or hoist. That was the power rotation, how you adjust each outer and inner angle. But for those of you who have been with me during the former film sequence when I talked about the benefits, you know that I was talking about the possibility to adjust the top speed, the acceleration and the deceleration. And I will now just show you a little bit of how to do that. I will not completely go through each programming procedure because there are a lot of pushing and pushing on small buttons. So I will give you the big picture, and once you know that you need to do this, I would suggest that you look through the manual because there is a good, easy sheet, only one sheet, that explains all the 3 buttons and where to push and where to push each button. So I don't know, if you zoom in, this is the circuit board, by the way, that is normally mounted like this on the side here. So once you lift the cover up from here, it will display the whole circuit board. And in the top corner here, we have 3 buttons, visual buttons. 1, 2, and 3. In between those buttons, there is a row of 6 LEDs, LEDs, I don't know, diodes. So you can see lighten up once you push each button. They are there to guide you when it comes to programming each function. So you use these 3 bolts to adjust which motor, if it's going to adjust speed, acceleration, or deceleration. And how to know in which level you have each unit, you take help of the LEDs here, because the top 4 LEDs show you the level of maximum or minimum or the 2 in between. If you didn't really understand what I said here, please read the manual because it is not very obvious, but I can give you a hint. On the circuit board here, if you can zoom in on that, I don't know if you can see it, but it says ADJ letters on the circuit board right where my finger is. ADJ stands for adjustments. This is the button you changed the level. And if we look at the other two, we can see right here on the outer edge of the circuit board, it says axis. That is the knob or button which you push when you change between the motors. Then you have the last one there where it says SEL, select. With that is where you select which mode you're going to change. Top speed, acceleration or deceleration. They have also built in a smartness in this circuit board. So if you have a problem with the Carolift 6900 in one way or another, that it's acting strange, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, but it may still work, then you can push each button or all the 3 buttons same time during 5 seconds. It's give or take a few seconds, but you push them until all the LEDs shines up. Remember, all 3 buttons at the same time until all the LEDs shines up, and then you release it. Because what you have done then is gone back to factory settings. And if there is, this is not very common, but I've heard about it, that the circuit board goes into some kind of lock mode that prevents it from doing exactly what it's supposed to do, then this could lock up the circuit board for you. So keep it in mind if you have a Carolift 6900 that acts strange. It is nothing wrong with it, it works, but it could act strange in one way or another. Then you can do this to waken it up. Okay? Then there is also the main switch sitting behind the circuit board. This is not only a main switch, this is also an automatic fuse. So if you got overload, and I mean really overload, if something breaks down really heavily, it will flick the switch automatically. So don't be surprised if you have to turn it on again after something has happened to it, because this is an automatic fuse. There is also one thing, I remember now, when you have a 6900 in your car, and if it breaks down or the fuse goes off or you don't have any more fuses, there could be a problem because maybe you can't close the lid, the hatch. Then this one is equipped with a emergency crank sitting on the motor, the power rotation motor right here, and it's a crank that fits directly on top of the the power rotation motor, and by twisting it, it will start to turn. It takes a while, but I can assure you that it's not heavy and it will go very easy to get the lift inside the car, of course. It's always sitting on the motor like this. So every 6900 that you lift this cover off, it's supposed to sit there, remember that.